Attention Caribbean authors and creators. Are you looking to elevate your literary journey? This is Kevin George, your host and presenter from TLC Tropical Literature Creatives, and I'm thrilled to share an exciting opportunity with you, introducing our bespoke promotional services designed exclusively for authors of Caribbean heritage. Whether you're a seasoned professional or a rising star, we're here to amplify your voice. From getting the word out about your book launch, your self-publishing services, or workshops, to sharing services that you offer to fellow authors and creatives. Visit our website or reach out to us today to explore how we can tailor our expertise to showcase your literary brilliance. Let's unlock the next chapter of success together. Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC, Tropical Literature Creatives, a podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary works. Today we have with us coach, speaker, television presenter, author, and publisher, Jilean Fabian. Jilean, welcome to Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It's my pleasure to be here. It's an honor, actually.
Well, I mean, with a person such as yourself, I think the honor is always to be able to host you, that you would have agreed to be interviewed in the first place. No, and it was a pleasure as well because it was interesting because some of the persons on the program, I believe that you would have interviewed. I'm like, but wait, I know that guy, and she's talking to the same guy, and here it is, we find ourselves, actually speaking.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is, one of the things that I do, for my authors, like the authors whose books I've published, is that I offer them an interview on Gael. So I don't do all authors per se, and I did have a show that ran for about 5 seasons, but I did pretty much everybody. There were some authors in there, but it wasn't just authors as such, right? So recently I did that interview. I think it was Kirtan Monroe, right? I did that interview because we recently published his book, and as part of my contract with my authors, there's an interview with Gaia worked into that. So that was that interview.
Okay. I mean, that was really good. I mean, it was like again, it was just good to see persons who I spoke with, who you were talking with.
Yes.
And there were elements of the story that I didn't really touch on that you were able to.
Right.
Yeah. Some view of the story and the author as a whole.
Yeah, I think it was just that I was more intimately connected to because I actually did the book, So I would have read it, I would have spoken to him about things before, and so there maybe were some things that I would have been able to touch on that somebody who hadn't been so involved with the book then, would not have picked up on maybe or thought to ask, but yeah.
Yeah, there is a benefit.
I had a little unfair advantage in that case.
No, as you said, you are a lot more invested. You are a lot more invested or involved as the case may be.
Yeah.
Jilean, for the persons who are listening, which Caribbean island do you have heritage or do you share heritage with? Trinidad and Tobago your entire life?
Yes. Yep. Born and bred here.
Okay. There's a scenario that I usually give to the persons who I host on the platform. And the scenario is this. Imagine I come to Trinidad and Tobago, Piaco International Airport, for the very, very first time. And you meet me there. What would you recommend that I try as it's my first time in Trinidad and Tobago?
That's always a funny question for me because I like so many things. I don't know that I have a favorite, right? Yes, I like doubles. I also love bacon shark, but I love many other things as well. And one of the things for me about Trinidad and Tobago is that we have this kind of composite culture. So it's like our culture is everything, in one, and that's the beauty about it. So, and I said, well, yeah, truth be told, we probably have the most holidays, public holidays in the world because we take it to the next extreme.
Yeah.
But, that was one of the things. So the thing that I really love about Trinidad and Tobago, and I think that I would I guess share with others is the fact that we are multicultural in our culture. Like it's all ours, you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
not one or the other, it's all ours. And so by extension, it's the festivals, it's the food, it's, you know, so it's not just one thing for me, it's just who we are, you know, everything.
I mean, that is encouraging that persons who are not from Trinidad, they want to come to Trinidad for the things that we kind of take for granted, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of flattering and it's kind of sobering too.
Yeah, we are so rich and we tend to, you know, I think cry down the country and there's a lot that is so great, you know, still about Trinidad and Tobago and the things that are just so normal and natural that we take for granted.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's change gears a bit. I One of the capacity in which we would have invited you to the platform, not being in terms of being a speaker, television presenter, although we're hoping to touch on some of those aspects, you know, during the course of the interview. It's in the capacity of you being an author, in particular about your book,
Yes,
Jill Out the Box, Heart Matters.
out the box.
Out of the box. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
For those of us who are tuning in and who do not know
Out the
anything about
box.
the book, can you just give us a brief synopsis of the book? A little bit, not too much. You know, we still want persons to go out there and to buy the book, of course, but enough to just, you know,
Yes, and
to wet the appetite for them to just go out and, you know, say, hey, we got to get this.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about the book because even though I do all these other things, I don't want to be the one there speaking about my book. You know what I mean? Like I interview, I chat with other people, but
Yeah.
I am really grateful for the opportunity to speak about my book because I don't think I've had that opportunity a lot, you know, to really speak about the book. So thank you. So I would say the book, if I had to lump it in one category, it would be a memoir, but it doesn't cover my entire life.
Hmm.
But I would say maybe a certain period of my life and the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. Yeah, so in there, I call it a unique book because in there, so it's not just one thing. So it's part of a story, it's conversations that I actually had with God. So what I said, what He said, it's some poetry that I wrote at a period in my life that was really painful and when I was processing through some pain. And so even the poems are put in there and they add to telling the story because they put in a particular order and they put in a particular place. And
Hmm.
then there are also some chapters that stand alone. So if you weren't reading the whole story and you open to a couple of the chapters, like they would be motivational or you get some wisdom on the spot just from those chapters because they just stand on their own and they're not very long either, you know. So it's just this combination of things that makes it a complete book and it's all, if I had to put it in one sentence, it's really about the heart matters. So it's about God's love for me and my love for God, and by extension, his love for others, and him really showing me that my heart matters to him, like my emotions matter to him, you know, and that the heart matters of our lives are what are important to him, you know. So we could go religion and we could go, yeah, we know the word and all of that, but at the end of the day, God is concerned about our hearts, you know, and having our hearts healed and in a good place and yeah. So at the heart of the matter is the heart. Yeah, so that's it. So it's kind of loaded.
Yeah, yeah. I like how you put that there. I hope that's the theme of the book. At the heart of the matter is the heart.
Yes.
As this is this your first book?
Yes, this is my first book. Um, yeah, it's my first of three.
Ah.
But it is my first. But I have been writing a bit before, and some of the things that I had been writing are actually in the book, but I was kind of like blogging, so to speak, I was writing inside a Facebook group, and I was just writing in my journal and different things. So there's some things that are pulled from there,
Mm-hmm.
but when I met Errol, there was something that God was doing in my heart at that time, and then showing me, hey, you have some chambers in your heart that close, and that's why it's blocking your intimacy with me. And so he kind of used him in the process. And so the book kind of
Mm-hmm.
started over because I had started a few years before it was actually finished, and I
Yeah.
put it down. And then when I met him, I was kind of going through this process. And then as I was in that, it kind of took me back now to, okay, so this is how come these chambers became closed. And so I take you back and give you a bit of the story that led to that juncture. Yeah. And then I took you forward. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So as you indicated, you were writing for a really long time. So I guess, but it didn't come together until you started to, well,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
kind of discovered I could write as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my little difficulty in relating to my dad at that point in time. And so I just started writing, and that was my way to vent, and to deal with whatever it is I was dealing with. And then a day I took, and it would come out in poetry somehow, but in at least my type of poetry. So I'm not a literary expert. I don't know what it's supposed to be or what it's not supposed to be. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was poetry, right? And maybe prose. So I remember taking it to school one day and sharing it with a friend of mine. And she said, but this is really good. Like, you should try to, get this out there or share it with people. And I don't know how much I can say because I don't want to go off on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say I discovered pretty much that I had a scribal gift. It was a gift. Like, I don't need to sit down and say, this is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Once I get that inspiration and I want to write about something, I could sit and write it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is that your process? You don't, some persons, for example, they say, today I'm going to write like
Yeah,
one.
I don't plan. I don't plan it at all.
So it's
Yeah.
as it
Or at
comes.
least in this terms of this book, I didn't really plan it. And what I've learned just from my own journey too, because I tend to be a flow person and not a follow person.
Mm-hmm.
So if I sit down and I plan it too much, I'm gonna get stuck. So what I do is, like, if I'm inspired about something, I just write. And then, at least in the case of this, so when it was time to actually put it together,
Yes,
I
yeah.
kind of then began to kind of with God know, okay, this goes here, that goes there, and then it, came together. But in terms of writing, I just write. I don't put a judgment on it. I don't edit it while I'm writing. I don't, I just, this is what I want. This thought came into my head. Okay, I'm going to write about this. And I just write it in that moment. And then I come back to it, I guess, when it's time to put things together.
Okay, okay. In your writing, do you require the assistance or aid of editors, or has it been like, once you write, there's no need for assistance like that in the stuff that you've written?
Well, it's really weird with this one because when I do books for my authors, like even my children's book, like I did pass it through an editor.
Yeah,
Um, this one, I think the first time I passed it through a friend who has language and editing skills, yes, but then it wasn't quite done. And then when it was quite done, I I don't know, it's like I just did it, I just did it. And I don't, like I say, I don't know that I know all the rules and all, the literary stuff and whatever. But I knew when I did this and I did it to my best and I edited. Because sometimes when I write, I might use a word and I know that's the word to use there, but I don't know the meaning of the word, And I go and I look it up just to make sure, but I just kind of hear it, like when I'm writing it, I write it and then I'm like, let me double check that, and I go and I check it back. Yeah. But I think I don't want to lie. I think maybe my editor would have read bits and pieces of it at some point. But when it was all done, I just went through it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think I kind of write the way that I speak. So like just the way we're conversing now, I tend to write like that. So it's like you're talking to me, And that's my style.
No, and that's how it works out for a lot of persons. Like, for example, in secondary school, I remember having a teacher who encouraged us to do that, to write the way that we would speak. So when the time came and, we had to do essays, etc., we wouldn't have to think, okay, I have to change character and, not put them and put them or that kind of thing. Because you're accustomed speaking it, it would just flow naturally. So that there is some sense to what it is that you're saying.
Yeah. And I guess it's my voice, it's my voice. And me having my voice is important because I think my writing is not just about being an author and writing books, but my writing is about showing God to the world, like God and his love and what he's done in my life and what he can do in yours. And so in a way, I guess you could label it ministry in a way. So it's not just, oh, well, I want to write a book, but this has kind of come out of a purpose journey, and it's part of that, and it's what he put in me to do. And so my voice, and by extension, the voice that he has given me is love. And really his love, because we love selfishly at best, human love. And he's been so merciful to me. And so I want to share that, kind of an extension of his heart to the world. Yeah. And so having my voice and having it not tampered with too much is very important to me when I write.
Yeah, it sounds like that. And it sounds like obviously your writing is very personal to you.
Yes.
I was going to ask if your book was self-published or not, but you also indicated that you would publish the works of other persons as well. So the question I should ask is, the book that you would have written, was it published through your publishing company?
Yes, it was. It was. But and funny enough, it wasn't the first one to be published. It was the second one.
Oh.
Yeah, strangely enough. But yes, it was self-published, I guess. But it is published under my imprint, which is Dropbox Limited. Which stands for Jill Out the Box, actually.
I see what you did there with the book and with the
But it's loaded, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there. I saw what you did there.
I didn't even do it. There's a story there too. But yeah. But yeah. I'm not so clever. Yeah.
I guess if you're saying so, but I'm just seeing, how things happen to fall in place. I mean, someone on your that for that impression, but
yes.
if you say so.
And I even had the design, at least the woman on the cover with the box. I had that many years before. I had asked for a logo to be done, and I was going through different things, and I eventually went with something else, but I liked this. So I asked them if I could keep it and so on, and they were like, yes. And I just had it there. And on one of my vision boards, I think I had put it up saying like this would be the book cover or something. And I didn't even remember that until the point I was actually publishing the book. And then it came back to me and I was like, oh, okay, I have the cover for this already. And then I just kind of did the, like the title and stuff on top and the rest of it. But I've had it sitting there.
I mean, one of the questions I ask persons, I mean, why go the way of self-publishing? But in your situation, I have to ask, why do you go the way of starting a publishing company?
Oh boy, see again, it wasn't me. Way back when I started the company, because I started telling you about me doing the writing and my friend telling me I should share it and stuff. So I actually applied to the Express and the Guardian, whatever, to try and get my poetry published, and nobody paid me any mind. And and then I tried to go to Hallmark, and then they said, no, we don't take work from, outside writers and stuff, because we have our in-house people. And then I thought, but Jilean, why are you trying to get validation from these other people? Like, what, you could do this yourself. So then I started doing like writing for people, like, personalized writing and personalized cards and things like that. And I just loved the impact that it would have on people, and just to see the look on their faces and so on. And like that brought joy and fulfillment to me. So I eventually did have the company back then was called Jill Out the Box Limited. And I started doing, I remember I went to the mall one day and I saw this frame and I bought it, took it home, wrote something to go with the frame, took it to work. Um, and another friend, oh, this is so great, like you should sell these. So then I started doing frames, with little verses in them and stuff, and they would literally sell themselves. Like I didn't have to, once I showed people, like they would be like, oh, this is nice, I want this, or I want that, or and they would sell. And
Yeah.
then so that was another season. And then I stopped getting the frames reasonably priced, and I stopped getting the types of frames that I was looking for. And so that kind of died a natural death at that time. And then I went through the divorce and dissolved the company. And yeah, so many years later, God said to me when I was going through my marriage drama and stuff, he said to me, Jotbox is a publishing company. And I said, okay, Lord. Actually, maybe it was after my divorce and all that, but it was between then and, it was some time. And I said, okay, but I don't know the first thing about publishing. But if you say so, Lord, I'm like, okay then. But because he kind of equips the call. So I'm like, when that time comes, I'm gonna know, but I don't know now. So I ended up, I think I bought a book on Amazon on self-publishing. And
Yeah.
when I started going through all the stuff that they were saying you needed to do and how to set it up, I had already done most of it. So I had the company, um, you know, I had the company, what you call it,
Are the,
registered. I had my logo. I had, a lot of different things that they talked about in that book. I had in place already.
yeah.
And then when it was time it was 2020, a friend referred someone to me. Oh, so sorry. I jumped ahead. So I was doing resumes and written things, proposals, resumes, anything written basically for people, because I do have a background in HR. My degree was in human resources, industrial relations. So I do have, that background. So I was doing resumes and different things for people.
Mhm.
And then that kind of was going a bit slowly. Um, but anyway, the budget. So when I would try to advertise then that I was doing publishing, or I was like I could publish your book and so on. Still not really fully knowing, but at least feeling at by that juncture I had enough information to try, enough
Yeah.
um nothing would happen. And it wasn't until 2020. So I had a physical office. I'd also published t-shirts and stuff too. I had my own t-shirt line, which for me was just written expression, and closed it when it was time to marry Errol, I guess, and move from south to north. I closed that office and hadn't been doing stuff for a while. And then in 2020, um, someone came to me about a friend referred someone about doing her book. And I was like, well, no, I'm in the process of doing mine and I don't wanna. And she's like, please, please, like do the book. So I ended up doing her book and she brought my son and I to Jamaica, to Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
to speak at her book launch. And then when I came back, so that was January 2020, before the lockdown. By the time I came back, um, March, there was the lockdown. And then I finished my book, and my book was published in April 2020. And from then, like people just came. So I can't tell you that I advertise a lot. It just comes to me at the right times. Like people, because I do a bunch of different things, yeah. But it comes to me at the right time. And I think then I released the children's book. I think I did one in 2022,
Yeah.
2021, and then I did one in 2023, and I'm working on another one to be released this.
Jill, out of the box, Heart Matters.
Yes,
How has the
yes.
reception been?
The reception. I think the reception has been very good for those who actually have read it. And my mom, right? My mom is not a huge reader, but
Mm-hmm.
my mom told me she actually read my whole book and she was going to read it over. So that was huge. Yeah. But I've gotten feedback from so many different people. Like there was a teenage boy who saw it, my son's friend, and
Yeah.
he saw his mom with it, and he was like, "Mommy, what is this?" And he started reading it, and he thought it was interesting, which I was surprised about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get feedback from different people for different reasons because I tell you, it's a book that it deals with a lot of different things, and it's not really that I sat down and planned it like I said, but so there are people who have been through emotional abuse or abuse of any sort, and so they connect with it. There are people who connect with it who are Christian. There are people who are non-Christian who connect with it, for different reasons. They're married people who connect with it, people who are about to get married and said, well, this helped me to kind of go through my process. There are those people, there are people who want to be remarried and so they connected with it. There are people who um they want to know about maybe purpose, how to pursue purpose and how you ended up on this journey. And so there's that. Yeah, so the feedback has been good for many reasons. And there's some people who, if it's the right time for them to read it, they will read it and finish it like in a day or 2 days. And then there's some people who just read pieces of it and they stop and it's okay for that part, that time in their life, and then they pick it back up sometime down the road and they read something that really resonates with them at that point in time. So I've had a lot of feedback from different people and for different reasons.
Okay. I mean, and it's good that your material is designed like that so that persons can take it in digestible chunks.
Yeah, and there's even like there are the people who there are the people who are like, who is she? Like, where did she come from? Because, Errol and I, we're from two completely different worlds, and it's like, how did he meet her? You know, or how did she meet him? And like, how did they end up together? And so there's that. And so there's that love story in there as well, you know. So yeah, there's a for all different reasons.
Okay, so for the persons who are curious, I mean, if you want to know, you could get it in the book too. Just to know, if you want to know, if you want.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, in terms of the design, I'm looking at the cover, a picture of the cover. Is it something that you put together yourself, or is it that you work together with a graphic artist? You told them what it is that you wanted, and this is what was presented.
Oh, I was sharing with you before that the cover, I had it way back when I was doing the logo for Jill Out the Box Limited. But I liked this, even though I didn't go with this for the logo, but I liked this and I had kept it. So when it was time to do the book, I remembered I had it. And so I just pulled that and then I did the rest. Like I put the Jill Out the Box at the top and I just made it into the cover pretty much.
I mean, it's pretty much you. Everything is you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And even the curly hair and yeah, it's me.
Okay. I mean, seeing that you're so invested in the book, and I'm seeing investment in terms of the design, obviously in terms of the content. What advice would you give for up and coming authors who have intentions
Oh,
of?
sorry, wait. I'm sorry. Sorry. Just to go back a bit, Hubby did help me with the back of the book. He took the picture and it
Mhm.
was taken right here in St. Joseph. And then I did the filter and stuff on it. So at the back, yeah, Errol took the picture of me looking down that street. And they actually have like the stations of the cross and stuff, which I didn't think about at first. But when I started like looking at it and doing the filter and different things, I was like, wait, that was just brilliant on his part.
Look at
But
that.
yeah, so Errol took the picture at the back after giving his photo credit.
Yeah,
And
I
then
see
I did the interfering with it.
that. Okay, well, let's take a quick break before I wrap up with a couple of other questions that I have for you, ma'am. All right, we're returning from a short break in which we would have been interviewing Jilean Fabian. Jilean, for up and coming authors who'd be listening to this interview right now, as a publisher, do you have any advice that you would give to them in putting together their works for it to be accepted to be printed?
I would say if you are an up and coming author, so you already know that you have a book in you and you have something to write. Firstly, I would say don't be too hard on yourself. You know, don't be judging your book before you give it a chance to even get out of you. I would say just write and don't necessarily, like tie yourself into writing the book in order or in like sequence kind of thing. Just write. Every time you want to write, just write, you know. And I would say every book has its process and its timing. Because sometimes we think like, oh, we in delay or we stuck or whatever it is, And I've just found that the book is going to be finished when the book is going to be finished, when it's time for the book to be finished. And even when the book is finished, there's a kind of processing that goes on when it's time for you to publish the book, you know. But I would say, yeah, just make sure you have it in, if as far as possible, that you have it in soft copy,
Mm.
yeah, and in some semblance of chapters, even though you may not always know. And for me, I am not as strict as I can be as a publisher, just because I truly believe like there are people who they have stories that need to be out there, but they may not necessarily have the skills to put it all together or to put it together in the way that it needs to be. So I am not the strictest of publishers in terms of what I will accept, but I would require that you have it in soft copy. Yeah, and of course it should be legible and all of that. Because my thing at the end of the day, like sometimes I have put names to chapters, that didn't have names. I've put names to books, you know what I mean? But I still feel it. It's going to be, and of course, everything is done in conjunction with the author. But I can ghostwrite if the person doesn't know how to write. And, so there are different things that I do. And so I'm not the strictest of people in terms of, well, you need to have it like this and this spacing and this, I just, as long as it's legible, it's in Word format, um, and in some semblance of sections or chapters or something, and I can read it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be edited, it's going to be formatted anyhow you take it. It may change, the order of the chapters may change, the names of the chapters may change, the name of the book may change, So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, okay. So persons, if you're interested in approaching this publisher, you're getting some gems here at this point in time.
Yeah, because they're different, and then some people only want certain parts of the process and not necessarily the whole process. Some people come pretty much with their book completed, you know. But not everybody does, and not everybody necessarily has the skill to do it, And so I try to work along with my authors at their various stages. Like I will even coach you through writing your book. And so I am a coach, but I was like, I'm Destiny coach there, but in Jotbox, I can be your writing coach, and I can help you through the process of writing your book, because that's really what you want. You want the person to write their book, and you want that person's voice. So both my editor and I, we are really big on maintaining the voice of the author and not changing things so much till it just sounds like the scholarly thing that sounds nothing like the person who has written the book. Yeah, so we try to work along with the authors to preserve their voice as much as possible.
And I know that you're really big on voices, especially like in terms of your own.
Yes.
So yeah, it
Yes.
does make sense. What would your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts be on if it is that your book were to be used by maybe a school, one institution, or even like by a group for practical reasons, like for a school to help with reading and comprehension skills, or even with the contents of your book, how you indicated how it identifies like certain chapters or parts of your life to help persons maybe
Mm-hmm.
or deal with challenges that they themselves are facing. How would you feel about that?
Yeah. Great. I would be ecstatic. Um, yeah, I would be ecstatic. And the thing about it, like, yes, I've done the book and I put it out there. And of course, yes, I do want to earn from the book being sold, right? But I have probably given away more books than I have sold just because of that ministerial element. Like I would much prefer the book can be of use to you and it could really help you in your life and give it to you. I'm more concerned about that than you purchasing the book, like making money off the book then. And I am confident that when the time is right for that to happen, that the book will make money. You know what I mean? And it's not that it hasn't made any, but it will make a lot more because there's a time for that. But that is not my primary focus. And people have suggested to me, like, you should do like a little book club thing and have a group of, people, and kind of work with the book. I will tell you, like, I have a what I call a coaching journal that I'm working on that
Mm.
takes certain things from the book and it adds some more things, but it's actually taking people through a process. So you may not have money to pay to have a life coach, and to pay for those sessions, but you can buy the coaching journal, and it will take you through a process that I believe by the end of it, you will have some growth in your life. You will have some idea or be more on your purpose journey and know like what it is you're supposed to be doing by the end of it. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I have thought about my books being in schools, but never this one. Actually, the two children's books, which it's a series. It's called the Bentley Chronicles. So there's volume 1 and volume 2 and volume 3, volume 2.62 and volume 3. They are both started, one pretty much almost done, and one is in process. Because I thought, like, why would I have volume 3 where he goes to Australia and not have something about Trinidad? So it's 2.62 because it's between 2 and 3, and this year we celebrate 62 years of independence. So I want to launch it before then.
Okay.
So, but those, yeah, because that one deals with the things that are special about Trinidad and Tobago. And that's all I'm going to say for now on that.
Okay.
But I do want to get those into schools, and there's actually one private school that has put it on, it's on the book list. Yeah, so I have a chunk of them that are going to be sold very soon, volumes 1 and 2, and she has already agreed to put all the others like on her book list. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, we are looking forward to things in 2024.
Yes, I am too.
I mean, in terms of your books, where can we get copies of them?
Right now, they are available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. And Jilean the box is actually available in hardcover as well. So in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And also from me for now. There is a reason for it, but there's not a reason for it. Like initially, when I thought about putting them in stores, it meant my having to bring them in enough of a bulk to position them in stores and then hope that people would go to the stores to get them. Whereas when I do them myself, I get to kind of control that in a way. And I also get to connect with people, like to meet people myself. And I kind of like that as well. But there is a point at which I'm going to come when it is going to be available in stores. But it just right now, it's from me, and I actually just got an order in. Yeah, I just got an order in. I should have them by maybe Wednesday for the latest, so people can order them from me.
Well, Mrs. Fabian, that pretty much brings us to the end of our interview at this time.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this chat with you and to share about Jilean the Box Heart Matters.
Okay, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it, Jilean. So we're looking forward to, and we'll keep our ear to the ground or keep our eyes on social media to see what's happening with your writings and all the developments where your literary undertakings are. You've been listening to TLC, Tropical Literature Creators. If you've heard something of interest or something you like, reach out to us. Reach out to our authors. Follow us on social media. We look forward to hearing from you.